Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here more and more than ever before with Kevin Noon. Kevin, how's it going?
It's going well. I mean, obviously, we've got news to talk about. This is exciting. Always enjoy hopping on the show when we got, some news to talk about or just to make fun of Tom, whatever maybe.
Well, and this is news, so it's going to be a shorter show than if it was our Make Fun of Tom episode. This will be shorter instead of the standard 3 hours. Let's rip on Tom. So the news of the day, of course, Riley Pettijohn commits to Ohio State, a high 4-star linebacker out of McKinney, Texas. Commits to Ohio State over everybody. Basically had offers from everywhere. Took officials to Texas, to USC, Ohio State, Texas A&M. 6'2", 215, 220-ish, something in that range. Currently right now ranked the number 31 player overall in the 24/7 composite, and the top 32 guys end up ranked as 5 stars. So that gives you an idea of what the Buckeyes have in a commitment from Riley Pettijohn. And Kevin, you and Mark Givler talked to him on Southern Swing. And did you have pretty good feeling back then that this would end up Ohio State's way?
Before we went on Southern Swing, we did a show on the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast talking about players that were going to be in the class or not. And I put Riley Pettijohn in the class, and Mark asked, why are you doing that? Like, I don't know. There always seems to be one or two guys that just don't necessarily seem to, we're not talking about them enough, and we should probably be talking about them more. And I felt that Riley Pettijohn fit that bill. So am I the smartest guy in the room? Only when I'm in a room with Tom. But outside of that, I thought Ohio State had made a compelling case. This was still prior to official visits. So we didn't have the backdrop of that really. I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting Texas. Texas was the team that seemed to be the one that was out front. And to Ohio State's credit, to James Laurinaitis' credit, pretty good idea to let him go out and start recruiting. They were able to cross the finish line.
Makes you wonder what the linebacker room would look like if he had been able to be out there in the last couple of years, out there recruiting guys like Sammy Brown and others, what the linebacker room could look like. But no, overall, Riley Pettijohn is a top 5 linebacker by all 4 of the recruiting networks. He's number 2 for On3, number 5 for 24/7 and ESPN, number 1 overall linebacker for Rivals. So, again, an example of what they've got now. Watching his huddle highlights, when I'm watching it, it looks like he almost plays linebacker like a running back. He's picking holes and tackling guys and evading blockers. Basically, very athletic guy. Can cover a lot of ground. Relatively long as well. It just looks like an athlete who can obviously play linebacker. Gives Ohio State 2 very good linebackers in this class with Pettijohn and, of course, Tarvos Alford, TJ Alford, who committed way back in late March, and a Florida guy and a Texas guy. And they had a Texas guy last year in Peyton Pierce, and, of course, Ohio guy in Garrett Stover. So 2 out-of-state linebackers in this one.
And Eli Lee. Don't forget about Eli Lee.
Yeah, of course. Another tackling machine at, Hoban? Is that right?
Hoban. At Hoban.
With several other Ohio State prospects offers as well. So, yeah, a good 3-man class. I think are they done now?
I think they're done at linebacker. There is obviously a necessity for defensive linemen and offensive linemen. And, we're seeing guys that maybe we would have expected to potentially be an Ohio State class kind of get away at this point. I'm not going to put Justin Hill in there. That one was just one where they missed. They just weren't able to get Justin Hill. That one's not done until it's done. It's really early, though, just a couple days after the announcement to be like, whoa, let's pump the brakes. We're talking about Alabama. We're not talking about Kentucky. I mean, sorry, but a little easier to flip kids from Kentucky than maybe Alabama at that point. But this 3-man class, especially when you're running a 4-2-5, I mean, how many linebackers do you need at that point? But, Ohio State certainly has a lot of opportunity at the position. After last year, no more Steel Chambers, no more Tommy Eichenberg. Now, we're obviously talking about CJ Hicks. We got, Gay Powers. I mean, there are other guys that kind of fit, the mold there, but they're multiple years into their careers as well. So, there'll be a lot of opportunity for guys like Riley Pettijohn to get out there. Probably somebody who I think immediately makes the two deep, in my opinion, just based on everything I've seen out of him. And now you got to play defense. Now you got to just hold on to these guys. TJ Alford still being recruited by everybody. And I'm sure Texas and Texas A&M and USC aren't going to be like, well, we missed out on that one. Darn it. On to the next one. That's not how it works.
Well, and now there's unlimited official visits, right? So even though he took his 4 in June, he can still be like, you know what? I'd like to go see not the Red River rivalry because that's a neutral site, but I'd like to go see this game or that game, and sure, I'll take an official visit to go do that. And then you just, like you said, you gotta hold on and continue to work. But James Laurinaitis to this point has shown no inclination that he's not above working. This is 2 years as a graduate assistant, biding his time, even though it's a pretty remarkable rise, a very quick rise from radio host in Columbus, like retired football player, radio host, graduate assistant at Notre Dame. Like that's then 3 years later, one of the top linebacker coaches, one of the top up and coming recruiters will show up on these under 40-year-old lists of coaches under 40. And it's been, he's got the NFL pedigree, the Ohio State pedigree that has kind of elevated him. But this, another last year, like I said, getting a guy out of Texas shows some chops. But this year, Florida, Texas, Ohio, with Laurinaitis, Brian Hartline, Tim Walton, seems to be, and we'll see what becomes of Carlos Loughlin, Coach Locke, who where does he end up ranking in all of these coaching rankings, recruiting rankings? But please, Kevin, do not call him a recruiter. That won't go over well. He is a position coach. He's a coach. But James Laurinaitis is going to start being maybe talked about as one of these up and coming recruiters. He has been, but now you're starting to show proof of what the theories were. He'll be able to recruit. Now he's showing it.
Yeah, Ohio State fans wishing that we would be talking about Justin Fry in that same argument as well. And, I think 2026 will bode well just based on where a lot of these kids are. But, yeah, I think Laurinaitis certainly has the chops to be in that mix now when you're running a 4.25. Is there going to be enough quote unquote opportunity? But let's not forget that Ohio State is not just about you only recruit your position. You also recruit your area. So James Laurinaitis has been involved in other recruitment as well. And plus two, when you're recruiting a defensive guy and you got James Laurinaitis, somebody who did it very well on the NFL level and looks like he can just go right out there and go, take reps. You're going to highlight a guy like that.
And it takes more than just, hey, I played here. I was in the NFL. The relationships are the key, and he's been doing well with that. So Ohio State now 23 commits, 12 of those guys, I believe, are on defense. You've got maybe not arguably the top two corners in the nation, and Devin Sanchez, Naeem Offord, Fahim Delane, one of the top 5 safeties in the nation. We already mentioned TJ Alford, top 5, top 10 linebacker in the country, top 100 player. Zion Grady, they miss out on Justin Hill. They've got Grady, they've got London Merritt, they've got Zahir Mathis right now. A very good defensive haul, and we talked, I don't know, a week and a half ago or so. I think I set the number at, what did I say, 28.5, and you went over? Or I was at 27.5 and you went over?
They'll go over both of those, yeah.
Yeah, they're at 23 right now. I can't see them. We'll just take 6 more guys, and that'll be it.
They know that they have to hit a pretty high number because just the way that the class is set up, you bring everybody back for one more year. You know what that means? At the end of that year, you're losing all those guys. And if they do very well, and you might lose some guys who have decisions of their own to make. So you could be losing before we even talk about a single portal player, I don't know, 30, 35 guys, something like that. I mean, when you have 85 scholarship players, that is a very significant chunk of your team. So you better recruit as if you're trying to hit 30, 31, whatever. I mean, again, 85 is the number that really matters. And even that number doesn't matter as much for some of the months of the season, some of the months of the year. But 25 is not a number to necessarily, focus on anymore, because that number doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, even like they're still waiting on maybe like 3 receivers to hear back from, and I don't know, they probably take 2 of them at this point, wouldn't they? And you look at the other positions, the offensive line, you're still waiting for David Sanders, and we know they're trying to flip the Auburn defensive Malik Autry. And you miss out on
They wouldn't say no to Trey McNutt. I mean, we got all of that going on still.
Yeah, so still plenty more to happen in this class. 23 sometimes would be, that's 2 more than they took last year, or in 2024, when you include Julian Sands. So a lot of guys this year, still more to come. A great place to follow all of the happenings, of course, would be BuckeyeHuddle.com, where we'll be talking about this commit and more to come. And 2026, the class there, the recruiting there is it's going to pick up. I think we know that it's a never-ending process, and there's some 27s out there as well. So if you want to follow it all, you can do that at BuckeyeHuddle.com. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, give us a like there. We would appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. That will do it for us today. Kevin, thank you. Tony, thank me. And we will talk to you guys later.